running never did much good. Hiding doesn't last forever. You can't run faster when it's you you're running from. So you throw your hands up like doves to the setting sun. Somewhere down the stars are falling like jewels upon a thin black veil. You'll find the mysteries enthralling. 5 seconds seems like 5 billion years. 10,000 galaxies away, yet still so near.
Welcome to Karen Holton's podcast. Karen permanently lost 178 pounds and found happiness and success by following her own advice. She has now developed that advice into the quantum health transformation. Heal, evolve, and thrive. Karen's website offers a free webinar workshop series, and you'll also find tools, methods, and practices to assist you to become the change you want to see in the world. She believes that we are all connected. Heal the planet by healing yourself. Connect with Karen at her website, KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com, and through Facebook at Facebook.com/Quantum Health Transformation. Now for the podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Quantum Health Transformation version 3.0. This is step 2, Violet, integration with your higher selves, and this is the video workshop. Step 2 is designed for those who wish to access their higher selves and the Akashic Records, which are also known as the Living Library. It provides ascension skills to assist with personal evolution. It upskills knowledge about our subconscious mind and how it ties into the Akashic Records and beyond, and provides a non-religious framework with which to understand and access higher dimensions. Be sure to also check out the corresponding video tutorial. And my students, again today, are the power couple, Don Rogers and Canadian Spinja. Please do check out their channels, and the links will be below. And to find out more about my work, all of the links are featured below in the description. Subscribe to my channels, leave me some comments, smash that like button, and share this video with your friends. Hi guys, thank you for coming back for another session of Quantum Health Transformation. How you doing?
Great. We're so glad to be here, and we had the honor of meeting you yesterday, and it's just I'm going to be flying high for a very long time. You are just as beautiful in person as you are in your videos and your and the audio.
Oh, thank you. So thank you guys, and it was such a pleasure to meet you guys too. Sorry, Don, go ahead.
I just want to throw this out there for anybody that's in Alberta that busts balls about the road to Red Deer. It's not that bad.
Yeah,
check your shocks. Quit crying about it. It really isn't that bad. If your shocks aren't screwed, you're fine. Just stop everything. But no, it was an absolute pleasure to meet you. A beautiful drive up, and look forward to doing it again.
Wonderful. So I'm not sure when the viewers and the listeners are going to be seeing or listening to this, but we are planning a meetup later this summer here in Red Deer, Alberta. If anyone's interested, please do drop us a line. So yesterday was our first meetup, and I got to meet Don and Spinja for the first time. We had a lovely visit. We really hit it off, and we did some really cool stuff. So check out their channels too to see the coat hanger test that we did, where I gave visual proof of our auric body, or also known as our toroidal field that our body generates. That was really a fun exercise, and some other cool stuff too. So please do check out their channels. And towards the end of this lesson today, I'll get them to tell you more about what they're doing. So today is step 2, and basically it's where to get started to build your own framework so that you can have contact with higher dimensional beings. That's basically what the lesson is about today. So we'll just get on with the screen share. Here we go. And for those of you listening on the audio, please do come over and watch the video presentation. You'll get a lot more out of the program because the visuals go along with what we're talking about. There's all kinds of cool images and things. And so as usual, we usually start with the whole program outlined here, steps 9 through 1. And you can see how it all fits together. The first 3 steps, steps 9, 8, and 7, are all about ways to open your mind and see reality in its greater context. And steps 6, 5, and 4 are all about detoxification, physical, detoxifying our bodies, looking at some of our eating habits. I know no one likes to hear that, but it's a very important part of detoxifying. How to detoxify emotionally, how to understand the role of real food in our diet, and also how to understand and detoxify from the construct we live in. And now we're covering the last 3 steps because you've already done all your foundation work by this point. And we did step 3 last week, where we could understand how to manifest more of what we really want in our life. Today is about integration with our higher selves. How can this be done? And next week will be the final lesson, Achieve a State of Bliss and Spiritual Exercises. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. This is Quantum Health Transformation, a new health paradigm written by myself, Karen Holton. And this is version 3.0, advanced training for healers and alternative health practitioners. Step 2, Violet, integration with your higher selves. Welcome, everybody. This is all taken from the PDF primer, and it's meant to accompany the live recorded video tutorial and this workshop. And it's of the very same name, so it's under the same category if you go to my website or my playlist on YouTube. And both primer and live quantum health transformation version 3.0 workshops will be presented in descending order, and when they're published to YouTube and the website. And you start with step 9 and you work your way down to do step 1 last. And just as a reminder, all information presented in any quantum health transformation media was received in a download and was channeled from the living library, also known as the Akashic Records. We're going to learn more about that today. Further, this material was downstepped and developed through the filter of my own personal life experience. I'm not an expert, a mathematician, or a scientist. I am a seeker of knowledge and wisdom. The Quantum Health Transformation Program is ideal for those who are awakening and for those who are experiencing ascension symptoms. But the content is beneficial for everyone who wishes to experience a better quality of life. And when you really think about it, we're all healers. And so this information is for everybody. Further, this system of quantum health transformation works well for me. However, you must synthesize this information and take only that which serves you. At the very least, it is my hope that from this material, you will be stimulated to seek your own inner wisdom. Further, also, please note, any part of the Quantum Health Transformation Original, version 2.0, or version 3.0 series can be copied and shared for free under the Fair Use Clause, as long as credit is given to myself, Karen Holton. And finally, please help to support my work by purchasing for yourself. And if you're working with clients and customers, please encourage them to also download the PDF copies from my website. And these are a purchase. The program is free, but if you want copies of this PDF, they're $3.99 Canadian, very reasonably priced. And that brings a little bit of money in to help support my expenses in order to produce this information and offer it all to you. And so you can go to the website shop, or you could even go to the website, and there are links so that you can easily find the PDF copies. They're very simple to download, and then you've got them. And so you can incorporate all of this information into your own teaching environment, your own programs, and you can also share it with other people. And it's not copyrighted because it's meant to be shared to the world. So I want to thank you so much for being interested in this program. So that all being said, let's jump into the training, Quantum Health Transformation version 3.0, Step 2, Integration with Higher Selves. What do I mean by higher selves? You have seen or heard me refer to my spirit guides, the Akashic Records, also known as the Living Library. But if you have not developed a framework which includes these concepts, they might not make much sense to you. So I will do my best to explain these concepts in non-religious, universal terms from my own experience. And first of all, I would like to say that this knowledge has nothing to do with religion or religious beliefs. The following information neither negates nor replaces your religious or spiritual beliefs. If your religious beliefs are working for you, then there's no need to remove them from your lifestyle. My perspective is psychological, sociological, physiological, and spiritual in nature. So let's start with taking a look at your subconscious self. What is your subconscious self? It is important to grasp how complex the subconscious mind is. Your mind can be illustrated by an enormous iceberg image. Only the tip or the conscious arena is within our awareness. The rest makes up our subconscious, which is a vast section mostly hidden from us. This includes the memory of every experience we have ever had, all of the details taken in by our senses, and more. This volume of information would make conscious thought impossible and awareness unbearable. So we develop a gatekeeping system that I will call the locator to feed us bits of the whole so we can make best use of our hidden data. So just like with this image of the iceberg, there's a huge amount of information that we are constantly aware of on a subconscious level. And this is always computing and looking for ways to better look after us. But if all of that flooded into our mind at once, we'd be overwhelmed. All of our senses, what we're smelling right now, what we're hearing, what we're tasting in our mouth, our body sensations, our thoughts, it would be overwhelming. We wouldn't be able to function. So we have to develop a system, a gatekeeping system, which gets used to letting in certain information and then sort of cordoning off or putting away other information so we're not aware of it. But it's there and it's always processing. Your higher self is you without the constraints of insanity of the conscious mind. It includes your subconscious mind. Just as you care about yourself, your higher self and subconscious mind care too, because they are a part of you. So your higher self is your spiritual body. Some people believe it's your light body. It's, I believe, connected to you at the chakra that's about a foot above your head. It's, of course, invisible to us, but it contains all of our conscious and subconscious awareness. And it's what brings us these learning experiences and spiritual evolution experiences when we're ready for them. Your higher self is the non-local spiritual you and has the ability to bring you learning experiences when they are needed for your highest good. It enlists the help of your subconscious mind and the vast store of data contained within it. The subconscious mind can alter your locators, which limit the flow of information that flows into your conscious mind. So you might be wondering, who sets up the parameters of our locators? And the simple answer is we do. And here's a simplistic diagram which illustrates how we influence our locators. You will soon see how one of the most powerful ways to influence this system is through the 9 steps to quantum health transformation. So we see here an image in the center. We've got the gatekeeper or the locator. So what is it that is in our reality that also limits what information we become aware of? Because all the information's out there all the time. It's just like your internet. It's flowing through your home and around your body. It's invisible, but it's there all the time. And then when we get on a device, we plug into a certain aspect, a certain podcast, a certain website, a certain search engine, and that sorts it. And then we get just the information that we're going for. Well, the same thing goes with a gatekeeper locator. So things that are affecting how much information or what kind of information we're taking in are distractions and addictions, our physical brain health. Our brain has to work like a computer, and it doesn't work well if it's not well cared for or it's full of toxins. Our learned experiences, which we covered in step 4. Step 4. Our culture and the morality and beliefs that we're brought up with, rules and laws of the nation state that we live in, and our beliefs and our attitudes. So before I go on, Don or Spin, do you have anything you want to add to that? Or any questions?
I was curious, like when you mentioned about the gatekeeper locator, is that the same as what people refer to as the veil?
I don't know. I think partly yes, but it's even more than that because it limits what information is coming into our conscious awareness. So for instance, if we have a toxic system and our brain isn't working right, we're not picking up the receiver wavelength we need in order to get that information, or we're not in a place of understanding or comprehension to take that in. Do you know what I mean? So I would say it includes the veil, but it also includes our 3-dimensional reality and how we set things up for us very much on a physical level and a psychological level.
Something I've talked about on other shows before is like we're told by the people who tell us what we are apparently is we only use 5% of our brain. Well, that just is nonsense because the world doesn't work like that. Because if I told you I was away 5% of like I was this type of person for 5% of my life and the other 95% of me was inconsequential, would you buy that? Right?
No,
so
we're given a whole brain for a reason. We're not given a whole brain to only use 5%. That's ridiculous.
And I think that locked out, gate kept part is the 95% that most people don't access because, like you say, it would drive us crazy if we understood all of it at once. Like even with the awakening, the experiences I've had during my awakening messed me up for days at a time sometimes because I'll just come to like this vast realization about the universe and be like, shit.
I think that's where our downloads are coming from too. They're filtered through that. And the other thing is it would be very socially isolating because we live in a construct that's dummied us down and put all these parameters on our thinking processes and told us what's real, which is almost all bullshit, right? And so we're not really free thinkers anymore. And so if suddenly you unleashed all that other information, oh my gosh. And there's actually been a couple of movies. One of them was called Lawnmower Man, and the other one was called Flowers for Algernon. And it's both about people who are mentally deficient and they're given a drug. They're 2 completely different movies, but the same theme. They're given a drug which allows them to suddenly have heightened perception and raises their intellect significantly. And they look back at how they were before and what they have now, and they're more socially isolated now that they're awakened than what they were before. Don, what did you want to add to that?
There's actually a 3rd movie called Limitless, and it's about a medication that the US government was actually trying to develop that puts you in complete, like in touch with so much of your synopsis. Like it's a great, if you want to talk about movies that are medication changing your neural paths,
Yeah.
that's another good one, because the first time I watched it, I was like, Eesh.
Yeah, there's another one. I'm trying to remember. It's the name of a woman's name, her first name. It's on Netflix. And something happens to her, and suddenly her mind gets opened, and she has all these abilities she didn't have before. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I'm sure someone out in our audience will think of it.
Yeah.
And if you do, please put it in the comment section below this video. So all of these movies are, leading to the same thing. So that is why the Quantum Health Transformation Program is so, so important, because the first 3 steps help you to open your mind and realize what reality really is. The next 3 steps help you to detoxify so that you're removing a lot of the barriers so that you can receive more of the information that's your birthright. And then the third section, the last 3 lessons that we're covering now, is helping people to then achieve by reaching out for these greater spiritual experiences. So it's the only program I know of its kind. I'm not saying it's the only way, it's one way, but it's a pretty succinct way. And it's a great jumping off point for everyone to go out and do their own research down all these rabbit holes that I'm opening for you all. So what influences our locators and our awareness? Heuristics. And we've already covered heuristics in step 4. Our trial and error feedback system from which we self-learn how to get along, what we want in this reality, and how to best achieve it. And as I mentioned, to maximize this process for best results, review Quantum Health Transformation version 3.0 step 4, both primer live tutorial and workshop videos. So so for instance, if you touch the fire, you're going to get burnt, and then you don't touch the fire anymore. Well, the same thing goes in our reality. Unfortunately, the rewards are not necessarily for healthful behavior, they're more for compliance. And the punishments are from non-compliance, which often accompanies free thinking. So that's an interesting, and that's a whole podcast in itself. So physical brain health, let's talk about that. Your health absolutely does affect your subconscious, conscious interplay. Our physical and emotional selves generate a harmonic frequency, which influences what we are capable of on an energetic level and affects the receiver wavelength of our conscious capacities. Your overall resonant frequency controls accessibility to the Akashic Records, also known as the Living Library, your spirit guides, and your higher self. To maximize your physical health and two-way communication with your subconscious mind, review my Quantum Health Transformation version 3.0, Step 6 and Step 5 videos. So as you can see here, the advantage of purchasing the PDF is it has all the embedded links that will take you directly to the sources of information that I'm referring to in this entire program. So I'm sure you understand how important your physical brain health is. And then there's your belief systems and your attitudes. Many people experience the assistance of angels, ancestors, higher self, Christ or Buddha consciousness, and more. The difference between possibility and impossibility lies in your belief systems and in your attitudes. To improve and upgrade your beliefs and attitudes, review my Quantum Health Transformation version 3.0 steps 9, steps 8, and step 7 videos. And for those of you on audio, we have a picture of 2 children walking over a bridge with their guardian angel above them. In the middle picture, there's kind of I don't know what you'd call it, an interdimensional being that a lot of us have had contact with. And on the right side, there's an image of an Aboriginal man doing ceremony, and contacting the wolf spirit. So these are all doable and have been done for thousands of years without question. They've really only been questioned more recently. Then we want to take a look at culture and morality. From the moment of our conception, we begin to become socialized by the culture and morality of our parents and their community. And this is both inherited and experienced. This forms the framework on which hangs all the learning we will experience while we are alive. This framework is shaped by a socio-political, economic construct, and it serves us up to a point. However, sometime within our lifetime, we begin to experience and notice things that we do not have language for or are considered to be forbidden knowledge. So you can see how often this is kind of labeled mental illness. At least that's how it happened for me when I started to notice and know things that other people didn't. I thought I was mentally ill. I was off to the psychiatrist to get me the pills to shut that down because, I had a hard enough time not fitting in. I didn't want to be a freak. I didn't want to be a weirdo. And it wasn't until I really understood that this is a natural part of our process and frees us from the construct. So these experiences and knowledge are often censored by the ruling class, who have a strong effect on the scientific community, historically limiting research in the forbidden arena. Don, did you want to add something?
No, I was just kind of leaning forward to turn the mic on.
Okay. So, a lot of the information we're told is scientific fact isn't. It's theories. And when you think about it, who pays the money for research? Organizations with an agenda, and they only will pay for research that supports their agendas. So all the forbidden knowledge or the forbidden arena, it gets no funding, it gets laughed out of existence. And so we can see how culture and morality have been engineered to contain us and keep us from progressing. Rules and laws. Rules and laws are created for social order and follow culture and morality closely. Some are necessary and some are obsolete, but they are what they are, and they affect our locators and limit our conscious awareness. Depending on where we live, we may experience little flexibility with our choices in this department. Either way, since knowledge is power, it is good to understand that rules and laws affect our belief systems and our awareness. Without getting into too much detail, let's just say since 2020, we have really seen how the government has had overreach and has affected rules and laws that have absolutely infected the belief systems and awareness of billions of human beings. And there's an image here with somebody who's thinking, and they're weighing out compliance, standards, review, codes, procedure, audit, laws, guidelines, rules, and then the balancing between what we're taught is right and what we're taught is wrong. So these absolutely affect us. They cause us to shut off information flowing in that goes contrary to it, much like culture and morality. And that's sort of a conscious decision that we have to be brave enough and strong enough to emancipate ourselves from that. Did you folks have anything you wanted to add before I get into distractions and addictions?
No, not without going into a tangent.
Okay, well, if it's a not too long tangent, that'd be great. But otherwise, we could do a podcast about the tangent. All of this is fodder for future podcasts for sure.
Yeah, it just one of the things I remember sitting back and here like listening to the radio in 2019, and I heard an advertisement. Well, it was a news report, and I just got thinking, wow, that is awfully biased towards one area. And at that point, I was actually I was more leaning towards that um, belief system, I guess is the easiest way to call it. Um, and because they play on your heart. They
Yes.
play on wanting to be a good person.
Yes.
And in doing that, that was one of the things, like, I was listening to that news report. It's like, wait a minute, like they are taking advantage of our hearts here
Yep.
and steering us to what they want.
Yep. It's like
And
a veil is removed and you suddenly see it for what it is. And it's shocking and disturbing.
it really is.
I actually just posted a meme on social media that I think sums up my view on it as best I possibly could. When 6 corporations own all of the media channels and newspapers, it's all fake news, buddy.
Yep. And they're all reading from the same script.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And so it just you kind of find yourself in a spot. It's like, okay, I'm trying to be a good person. I'm trying to be a good citizen. I'm trying to follow the rules. But if I don't do everything and I don't agree with everything, then there's no
punished.
You're against
punished.
it.
Yeah. And so you will shut your own, you will direct your own locators. Why? Because we're programmed for survival. We need to survive. And that's why it happens, and that's why we have some control over the information we're getting. And fear is the biggest thing for shutting off our subconscious and shutting off our higher self, who's using the subconscious to help direct us to a better life. So you can see how it works. And then, of course, the granddaddy of all things is distractions and addictions. Both serve to keep us from expanding our awareness by keeping us from feeling our feelings and our internal guidance system. If you don't agree that your favorite distractions are addictions, then let yourself experience the sensations of going without for a while. It's the only way you can measure it. The most common addiction in North America is sweetener and refined carbohydrates. If you eat a typical North American diet and don't think you're addicted to it, take a challenge. Go for 1 week without eating anything that contains sweetener or refined starches and carbohydrates of any kind, and see how you feel. The measure of your discomfort is the measure of your addiction. So you got to be really brave to do this. I've done it many times, and I keep calling it going out for doing further research and coming to the same conclusions over and over again. But the sooner or later, instead of picking up the stick and banging myself over the head, which is a metaphor for this experience, I finally have put the stick down. So I may put the stick down for weeks or months and then pick it back up and got to do further research. Yep, still hurts, going to put the stick down. And eventually you master self-control. We'll get into that next week. So I personally have withdrawn from many chemicals, including caffeine, alcohol, and nicotine, but withdrawal from the carbohydrates was by far the most difficult for me to overcome. But going without our addictions and distractions is the quickest way to find out who we are and what we're made of. The discomfort experienced is fertile ground for growth and healing. And I have a picture here of basically a screen that's got all these icons: Facebook, your phone, videos, utilities, your mail, your contacts. That can become an addiction. And on the other image, I've got cigarettes, dice, which indicates gambling, alcohol, more screens, carbohydrates, pills, all kinds of things. I'm not suggesting we live as monks, although this is always an option. But I urge you to experiment with cessation and let your own internal wisdom surface. Take it slowly, one addiction or distraction at a time, and have compassion for yourself, as backsliding seems to be part of the recovery process. 2 steps forward, 1 back. 2 steps forward, 1 back. The good news is that each day or minute or second is a chance for a do-over. And here we've got an image of a woman who's been out definitely doing a lot of shopping, and another image of how we put expectations on ourselves. We make a to-do list, everything, 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 everything. That can become a distraction in itself because it can be crazy making, trying to do all the things we're supposed to be doing as dictated by society. And sometimes we just need to say, that's it. Nope, I'm taking the day off, or I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going to that relative's house for turkey dinner at this time of year anymore. I'm going to stay home and make myself a nice special meal and relax and kick back and play video games or watch a good movie. I'm not doing that anymore. It's exhausting. And we start to recognize and peel those things back.
Can I add just one little thing,
Yes.
like while you're going through that process? So based on my own experience, I ended up losing quite a bit of weight because I analyzed things, and I actually did follow keto for a while. And I'm going to throw out this disclaimer: this worked for me. It may or may not work for you. Do your own research. But one of the things, like if you're not familiar with keto, like you're pretty much you're giving up the carbs, you're giving up the sugar,
Yeah.
all like what we like most, like many of us are addicted to.
Yeah.
And one of the ways I got through it was celebrating little victories.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, like every time, like, okay, so I would go out to a restaurant, and rather than have French fries and the burger with a bun, I would get my burger wrapped in lettuce
Yep.
leaves, and I would have a Caesar side salad. So I still got the good stuff, and that was hard because fries and gravy is one of my weaknesses.
Yeah.
So where I'm going with this is just when you're making these changes, be gentle with yourself
Yeah.
and pat yourself on the back, and like just the tiniest steps, celebrate them because you've done something differently and you're doing amazing.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Don.
On top of that, and I'm going to share personal because I really don't care. I'm an honest person. I try to be. I've beat a lot of addictions as well. I have beat cigarettes. I've beat alcohol. I even danced with cocaine for quite some time. I'm deliberately trying to get rid of things that are unhealthy for me. I still eat a lot of sugar. So just let that marinate that I gave up cocaine, but I can't shake sugar.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And so what'll happen is over time, it's actually good to go without for a while and then binge on it. And then you feel so gross. It
Oh,
really
yes.
helps you
Yes.
to see. Just like if your parents caught you smoking and they make you smoke a whole pack of cigarettes, use that method. Like there's so
Yeah.
many ways of doing it. I'm just, as I mentioned before, giving everyone a jumping off point and raising their awareness. What you all do with this information is up to you. And you won't do it till you're ready. There's no point in beating yourself up. You just take one thing at a time. And yes, reward your successes. You deserve to have a reward. And the rewards can change, and they can be all kinds of things, from a day off to a nice hot bath, to eating something special once in a while that also is not as toxic perhaps as what you would have chosen, and that's how we do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, all good stuff, guys. And thank you for your honesty, Don. And yes, good point. It's easier to quit cocaine than it is sugar.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough, and when you're ready, you'll just start scaling that down a little. That's really it. And then when you're ready, it's taken me years, guys. I'm not going to lie. This has been a very long process for me, more than 10 years. So I don't want to discourage people by saying that. I'm just saying that but you have to start somewhere. And what's the alternative? I couldn't deal with what was. It wasn't working for me. I didn't want to spend the rest of my life being sick and tired and having zero success. and confusion. And and when I got to the point, I just started putting my foot down in small ways and then over time in bigger ways. And now I'm basically a monk, but I like it. I really like it. Food tastes absolutely delicious, what I eat now, because I've detoxified. I can go out for nice long walks. My life is so enjoyable and so doable. I just, I don't want to brag, but it really is, it was worth all the effort. Hi guys, break time for a short message. YouTube will not monetize me, so if you enjoy my content and want to support my efforts, help me to cover my expenses by visiting my shop to buy yourself a beautiful orgone generator. Zendome's Orgonite are my unique brand, and they are ethically sourced, handmade, and double charged for maximum effect. They are only available through my website, www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com. Many people are finding comfort with Zendome's orgone generators, commonly called Orgonite. They are a simple compound which balance ambient energy by converting negative energy and EMF into positive healing energy with many easily confirmed health benefits. They are a simple compound with alchemic and energetic properties. These devices function as self-driven, continuously operating, highly efficient, negative to positive energy transmutation factories. They help diminish the harmful effects of electromagnetic frequency radiation by attracting and converting negative energies, retuning them into new and more healthful sound and light wave patterns. And they help to purify the atmosphere and accelerate plant growth. They also help stimulate positive mood and are a natural remedy for poor sleep patterns. When Orgonite is within range of any corded or wireless electronic device, it will efficiently and continuously transform that energy into orgone as it is being transmitted. This essentially creates orgone energy transmitters out of any and all emitters of harmful negative energy. You can use these devices for focusing the mind, healing, meditation, and for spiritual growth. Zendome's Orgonite are my unique brand of orgone generators, and they are only available through my website. Don't be fooled by imitations. Check out my website to see my latest selection at www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com. That's KarenHolton healthcoach.com. Check them out today. Now, let's get back to the show. So now we've looked at things that will alter our the locators. Let's take a look at the subconscious mind again. As mentioned earlier in this lesson, our higher selves make use of our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind contains everything we have ever experienced via total sensory input, our current personal and collective consciousness, and the Akashic Records, which is sometimes called the living library, which contain everything we have ever experienced as humans throughout time. That's a lot of information. And since it's clear that it is in our best interest to enhance the communication to and from our subconscious resources, let's explore some of the ways that we can communicate. Now, before we flip to the next screen, I just want to explain the image here, especially those who are listening on audio. So if you take the top button, which says everything we experience, sense, and learn, everything throughout our lives, then that is contained within our common and our group consciousness. And that's contained within the Akashic Records, also known as the living library. And that's also contained within our subconscious mind. That's a lot of information. You're all packing around that information. But the trick is, can you access it? And so you want to know how you can influence it and allow it to influence you. So there's visions, dreams, both lucid and while asleep, coincidences, synchronicities, and spontaneous knowledge, sometimes referred to as intuition, or sometimes comes to you as a download. These are the most obvious ways our subconscious communicates with our conscious awareness. The messages are real and important, but the aesthetics and the delivery system are self-generated through our imagination. So our imagination is kind of housed between and within both our subconscious and our conscious realities. And that's how we're able to access that resource. But if we don't allow time and space for that, which is why meditation is so important, how will we ever build that skill? And how will we ever listen? And that's why our lessons are repeated over and over and over again throughout our whole life, hoping that it will get through somehow and we'll learn what we need to learn so that we can basically get on a new timeline, shift our timeline. Two-way communication with our subconscious self involves altering the receiver wavelength as it is set up by our brains. One of the most powerful methods that I know of is to eat unadulterated real food, which is full of life force. Man-made chemicals, processed and junk foods gum up the brain system, making it difficult to communicate with self or to think clearly. And again, I invite you to go back and review step 5. Some people have had great success with medicines called psychedelics, which are naturally produced by our loving planet. Ibogaine, ayahuasca, psilocybin, and cannabis are just a few of the options. However, I'm not recommending them because I am not a doctor and I cannot diagnose or prescribe. Please do your own research and learn about the groundbreaking results being done. My point is that psychedelics alter the receiver wavelength of the brain so that there is a free flow of information to and from your subconscious mind and your higher self. And for those of you, a lot of you are familiar with ayahuasca, psilocybin, and cannabis, but I don't know how many of you have heard of ibogaine. Ibogaine is actually legal in Canada. Ibogaine comes from a tree in Africa, and what it does is it completely and in one session detoxifies the brain so that if you're addicted to cigarettes or if you're addicted to heroin or you're addicted to cocaine, it completely resets you as a non-addicted person, completely neutralizes and removes the mechanisms that cause you to become addicted, and you're instantly cured. And it's a very interesting process because they teach you, you do it in a clinic, and they teach you that if you want to go back to the previous part of the psychedelic experience, you just roll on your left side. And if you want to switch over to the next part of the lesson, you roll over onto your right side. If you become frightened, all you have to do is blink several times and it resets so that you're no longer afraid. It's an amazing, amazing technology. It's a technology, guys. And but what the trick is, when you get out of the clinic, you're no longer addicted. So you have no detox symptoms. So say you're cold turkey, you quit doing heroin, you go and you do ibogaine, you don't get the sweats, you don't get the stress, you don't get any of the physical discomforts. It completely removes all of that from your system. But the catch is, once you leave the clinic, if you go back to your old way of life, your old friends, your old things that you were doing before when you were addicted, you will become addicted again, because the things that led you to become addicted in the first place are still there and you haven't dealt with those issues. So that's the catch. So I don't know if you've heard of ibogaine. There's an incredible documentary about it on Netflix, and where you get to follow through on several people who are heroin addicts, and they go into the clinic and they get cured. So I just wanted to tell you about it. So all of these things, ibogaine, ayahuasca, psilocybin, and cannabis, are technologies. And this is what I call medicine, because we're not just masking the symptoms, we're actually curing the the problem, the root problem. Don, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
No, but that's definitely interesting about that ibogaine. I've never heard of it, and I've been into illicit substances since I was a teenager, so I've seen or heard of most of them. But I'm definitely going to look into that.
And, it behooves me to ask, in several provinces in Canada, they're giving away free, highly synthesized chemicals that are supposed to replace heroin or cocaine that are even more addicted. And if people are lined up at the drugstores, for these drugs, and they've become legal in Canada, why not just give them an ibogaine experience? The only answer to that is because it doesn't make money for the pharmaceutical industry. Seriously.
I actually, I don't know how else to say this, accidentally bought a house when I was living in Ontario that was next to an unmarked methadone clinic.
A methadone, that was the drug, yeah.
I found syringes in my yard. I had fights in my yard. And this was an unmarked Ontario clinic where they handed out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it was just ridiculous. I had 3 small children at the time in my first marriage, and my children were coming home as I won't even get into it. But yeah, it's not a good program. It's not a good look.
Well, it's not only not a good program, it also doesn't work. It just makes money for the pharmaceutical industry. And in British Columbia, where I moved to Alberta from, you could get it at any drugstore. And there was these people all tweaking and geeking and sweating and anxious, waiting so they could get their methadone. Horrible stuff, and more addictive than heroin. Absolutely criminal. But anyway, I think we've got the point across here. So dreams, visions, and intuition are ways that we receive healthful information from our vast subconscious resources. But how can we communicate our needs to the subconscious? Well, there's many different ways. Prayer, meditation, affirmations, and visualization all work well. Meditation strengthens the ties between the conscious and the subconscious self and facilitates two-way communication. And for more about this, review step 8. And I have 2 meditations here that are very, very simple and very, very effective. And I'm going to just quickly read out the steps, and you may want to come back and review them, perhaps jot them down if you don't have a copy of the PDF. And they've served me exceptionally well, so I've included them here. The first one is called a meditation for heart-brain coherence. Those of you who are familiar with Jeff Braden, he talks a lot about heart-brain coherence. Is it Jeff Braden? Oh my gosh, can't remember his name. Sorry, guys. Anyway, lie down. Step 1, lie down and place your hands over your heart and close your eyes. Think of your heart. Then think of someone that you love and are grateful for. Now, step 2, spend time thinking about the things that you appreciate about them. Step 3, think of your heart and become aware of body sensations. So that simple awareness of what's going on within your body, within your skin. Feel yourself relax, then stretch, yawn, and open your eyes. So this is a really good meditation for people who have the squirrel brain that's just going, gotta have something going on all the time. They can't empty their thoughts. So what you do is you close your eyes, you think of your heart, and you can touch your heart to draw attention to it, or, your heart chakra. And then you think about someone that you love and that you're grateful for. And then you spend some time just thinking about what it is you appreciate about them. And it just puts you in this lovely, lovely receiving state. It's just lovely. The second meditation is a meditation for health, and it's very simple as well. Step 1, sit with your feet not touching, open your hands, not touching, and close your eyes. Think of your heart, then think of something that makes you feel grateful and loved. Step 2, think of your heart and ask, who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? What will make me happy? Step 3, think of your heart and be aware of your body's sensations. Again, simple awareness. Step 4, feel or hear your own heartbeat. And step 5, stretch, yawn, and open your eyes. That's it. So this second meditation was inspired. I'm sorry, it was Greg Braden, not Jeff. I don't know why I said Jeff. So the first meditation was inspired by Greg Braden, and the second meditation was inspired by Deepak Chopra. Since the interplay between our higher self, subconscious, and conscious selves is uniquely personal, we can create within our imagination any format which facilitates communication. So why not make it enjoyable and base it on a template that makes sense to you? Some people have had great success with creating their own spirit guides or soul team. In short, a soul team is a group of beings which communicate via your imagination. Angels, deceased loved ones, ancestors, benevolent ETs, learned scholars from days gone by, our higher self, and Christ or Buddha consciousness are just a few examples. There is no limit, and you can change any format anytime, just like choosing a theme for your PC. This is your life, your body, and your mind. Why not customize it? I do it all the time and have achieved excellent results. The beings that we select and allow access to us are very real. They exist in a dimensional realm that we cannot detect with our three-dimensional senses. They are not hindered by time and space. They are here for you when you are ready to ask them to become part of your life. All you need to do is ask them to assist. Some people fear a loss of control when they stray from traditional religious dogma, but this has never been my experience. In my opinion, junk and processed foods, along with mainstream media, are most likely to generate fear, anxiety, depression, and poor decision-making rather than anything I have mentioned in this lesson. So a lot of people, they might experience anxiety or panic attacks, and they think they're being attacked by invisible beings. But most likely, sometimes that happens, but most likely what's happening is they're not recognizing the influences that are scaring them half to death right in front of their eyes. And they're refusing to awaken and to accept that this is your warning device, as we talked about in step 6, part 3 under emotional detoxification. So I recommend going back and checking out that information. The other thing is I want to say it's all frequency, guys. When you step out of the three-dimensional and you get into fourth and fifth and higher dimensional realities, they're higher frequencies. And frequencies have to match in order to mesh and have influence on each other. So the malevolent or scary aspects of the spiritual realm are all within the astral. They're in the very lowest realms, closest to the three-dimensional. And if we're stuck because of our addictions or our belief systems or our practices or whatever, and we're stuck into that lower vibration, we may have some of those experiences. But as soon as we shift into a higher frequency, they no longer can manifest themselves towards us. And in the higher frequencies, we're met with only the most benevolent of beings. And so if you ever get stuck in those lower frequencies, you can just call out to angels, call out to the different guides that I've mentioned before this, and they will help draw you into the higher frequency vibration, and you'll be saved. And that's why a lot of people find just calling on the name of Jesus Christ when they have been faced with malevolent ETs or what they might think are demons or ghosts or poltergeists, why that dissipates immediately, because they're calling out to, and a hand is being reached down to us to pull us into a higher vibrational state. And so you don't have to be afraid when you're asking the various beings to come into your life and be part of your soul team. But they can't enter your reality without an invitation. And if you get tired of one for whatever reason, but usually you won't, but if you did, you could ask them to leave and bring in another. But generally, we're not limited, so you can bring in as many of these wonderful forces for good that you need or that you want. And in that way, you build your own framework for a richer spiritual life. Do you have anything you want to add, Don or Spin, before I get into the concept of is there or is there not a God?
Yeah. I actually, it's just kind of a thing that you made me remember. I was talking to somebody recently, and I think that's a lot of the reason. Like, say you have a group of 100 people and 5 people see a spaceship and the other 95 are like, what the hell are you guys talking about? It's the vibrational perception, because those 5 people are at the right level to see it. The 95 that are in the drudgery and low frequency don't.
Exactly. They're stuck within the first, the senses of smell, taste, sight, touch. We go into the whole next set of chakras, which isn't part of this lesson, but again, we can make another podcast, which is our extrasensory perceptions, which gives us, teleportation and intuition and the ability to communicate without words. And we see things with our spiritual eyes, which is again within our 6th sense, which is actually another set of 5 senses. So good point, Don. So now I want to ask, is there room for this in God? A lot of us have religious beliefs. We believe in God of one sort or another. And it may sound like there's no use to have God, but actually I do believe in God, but not maybe the way the religions teach. I believe it's universal consciousness, and that suits me. So it makes sense to me that an almighty and compassionate, I'll start again. It makes sense to me that an almighty and compassionate universal spirit would make its presence known regardless of our present state of consciousness. Perhaps God is involved in all that I have mentioned in this primer. Again, it's up to you. Rather than reject specific spiritual beliefs, I prefer to learn from all of them. Review step 9 to learn about a technique that I use to reconcile the differences and glimpse into the bigger picture. So I'll just explain a little bit about that. The tool is the Nubby Ball tool. And what I did was I plotted everything from being completely atheistic to scientific and only believing in science on one end of my Nubby Ball. And at the other pole, I put in complete belief that everything is willed and run by a universal spirit. And then I looked at all the religions and I plotted them all over the Nubby Ball. And then I took the things the religions had in common and I intersected them at the center of my Nubby Ball, as though I ran a string from each religion to the center where they all connected. And basically, all of the religions and spiritual beliefs believe that we should not hurt ourselves or other people. So whether that's harm none from the Wiccan concept, or treat other people the way you want them to treat you, like no matter how you slice it or dice it, that's what all the religions had in common. That was the bigger picture. And that's something that I very much believe in. So that's why I don't reject any spiritual beliefs. I consider myself pan-spiritual because I can see golden threads running from every belief system, pretty much. And I personally experienced and witnessed universal tender mercy, which is another word for God or universal consciousness. And I believe this powerful force for good is available to all who seek it. So you can actually call that in to your life if you haven't done so already. Many do it under the avatar of Christ, or perhaps, Vishnu or Buddha, Like you can do it a number of different ways. It can manifest through the I Ching. Whatever your belief system is, why not make use of such a powerful universal spirit? And again, I believe that's drawn in through our higher self, because I believe our higher self is a component of that energy. And it can also be referred to as Holy Spirit. A lot of Christians talk about Holy Spirit, but I see very few Christians actually believing in it as an active force in their lives and seeing it work and play out within their own life. I've done my best here to demystify teachings that have historically been kept within the realm of arcane or esoteric knowledge. This knowledge is not fantasy. Through spontaneous knowledge or downloads and intuition, universal consciousness has provided the experiences necessary for me to create the 9 steps and to improve my life significantly. So all of the teachings that I have given you in this program are boiled down and simplified and put in universal terms, all the sacred knowledge that's been hidden away from humanity. And it was hidden away to keep it safe, but it ended up being locked away and unavailable to us. And this is information in the Bible or in the Quran. It's found in the ancient cuneiform writings. It's everywhere. And it's almost the same message. And this was well illustrated in the video called The Secret, where they were teaching us how to unlock that information. So in conclusion, let your higher self bring you the learning experiences essential for your highest good. Create a framework to facilitate access to the spirit guides of your choice and your ability to access the Akashic Records or the Living Library and beyond. I've done my best to explain these concepts in universal terms and will continue this conversation in upcoming videos with my own personal experiences. To follow my content, please do subscribe to my YouTube and other channels. The subconscious mind is complex, but not inaccessible. Develop strategies to improve your mind's gatekeeping system by adjusting your locator to make best use of your hidden data. Just as you care about yourself, your subconscious mind also cares for you because it is a part of you. Experience one of the most powerful ways to influence the system through the 9 steps of quantum health transformation. Good health to you. Now, before we conclude, Don or Spin, do you have anything you want to add or comments you want to make or questions you might have?
I just, if it's okay, I'd like to share what I'm doing. I still, like I'm still at the beginning of my journey. I'm still feeling things out. And so I know, like, and again, this is me personally, that God or source or the universe, like I use those interchangeably, has always been there. You know, I've gone through a lot of crap, but I never gave up. And now I'm at a point where it's like, okay, I know source is there, source has my back, and then I have a team, but I haven't been able to figure out how to identify them.
Yes.
And so I don't let that stop me though. Every morning on my way into work, when I'm by myself, I call in a team meeting. And I thank everybody for being there. I invite any benevolence that are observing and can intervene in my best interests. And I just put it out there and I thank them for being a part of it. And I don't get any, like, that I've figured out direct communication from anyone specific, but the signs are there.
Absolutely.
So I know I'm being heard. So I guess where I'm going with this is when you're first starting out and you're not able to you don't think you're making direct connection, or you don't get names of of beings or entities or whatever, don't let that stop you, because you still have a whole team working with you, working for you, supporting you, and cheering you
Yeah,
on.
absolutely. And I wanted to tell you that that's actually a higher understanding of this lesson. So when people get started, they'll go, "Oh, I talked to, Archangel Michael. I contacted, Gabriel, and this is what they said." And they're very much into giving personas to the beings. But actually, once you progress higher, you're much more like Abraham Hicks. So Esther Hicks, she calls it Abraham, which is just one name for a myriad of different sources of inspiration and intelligence. She doesn't worry about what their name is, whether they're an angel or whether they're an ET. And in the beginning, I very much ascribed. This one was an ET. I had Bob the Gray, who helped me to do remote viewing and to access my memories from my extraterrestrial experiences. I had Archangel Gabriel that I was working for and was communicating with me. I had all these separates. But through time and experience, I just know what's benevolent and I can feel it in my gut. And I don't care who it is. I don't have to put a persona to it anymore. I don't have to say it's an angel. I don't have to limit it. What I was doing was, for me, it was a big stretch to go there. But then after a while, I realized I didn't have to limit. I could just trust the process. And maybe in the end result or the end analysis, maybe it's all Holy Spirit, what we call Holy Spirit or chi or prana, or even 0 point, or it may even be called orgone, like from my orgone generators. And, the more we learn about reality as a simulation, and I'll go back to the double slit experiment, when the observer was there, it formed two lines from two splits. But when the observer was not there, it had the chaos or the chaotic imprint. And they even did experiments where they left the observer machine or whatever they used there, but they very discreetly unplugged it, and universal consciousness knew. And so it is conforming to our beliefs. That's how powerful we have. And there are many spiritual beings who do not have that power. So really, they're working for us. We're not working for them. So I just wanted to confirm that, Spinja, what you've done is taken a quantum leap. You're much more advanced than what you realize. And what you said is very true. And I'm glad you said it, because I want everyone, the listeners and the viewers, to know there is no one correct way. And as we progress, we will be taught other ways of doing it. So I'm not putting anybody down when I say, you don't have to believe it's this angel or that ET anymore. I'm just saying this is part of the evolution of how it works. Don, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, just further, because we were talking about this before the show. I've actually been looking into the dual wave thing, and it was broken down even further than that. In the one video I saw, that every molecule on Earth in this existence is somewhat sentient.
Yeah.
Right. That's why it reacted differently. Right. It knew it was watched, so it did what it was supposed to. When it stopped, it didn't have to care about it.
Yes.
It in a wave pattern. I can't wait to get into this more, because
it all works for us. And that also means the bugs are sentient, the plants, our trees, the atmosphere, things we can't even see without a microscope. It's all part of sentience. And what Don's referring to is I'm going to be doing a 3-part panel once a month for 3 months, and we're going to actually talk about harnessing the simulation. What is it, and how can we actually harness it and ride it like a horse, which can get out of hand at times, but we have terrific amount of ability to direct our way. And so so that's about it for the primer. Those of you who have a copy, you can link right into the step 2 videos, the video tutorial or the workshop. And this concludes the Quantum Health Transformation version 3.0 advanced training for healers and alternative health practitioners. Step 2, Violet, integration with your higher selves. Please feel free to contact me for more information and for assistance with your awakening process. And as always, I'm grateful for all the forces that assist me with the production of this free 9-step online course. So if you've already done the video tutorial and now you're watching completing the workshop, you're ready to please join me for the next step in this online course called Step 1 White, Achieve a State of Bliss and Spiritual Exercises. So that's the last step, and it's also very, very informative and much easier to do than the detoxification steps for sure. For those of you who want to contact me, my name is Karen Holton. I'm a holistic wellness coach and a talk show host. And you can find me and all my material at www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com. That's KARENHOLTON healthcoach.com. And you can find me on YouTube and other platforms at Karen Holton TV. That includes everything from X to Rumble and Telegram and Odyssey and the Forbidden Knowledge Network. And if you want to email me, you can contact me at quantumhealthnow@gmail.com. And for those of you who order the PDF, you'll notice it has all the links to all my resources, all my free resources, and there's a lot. And even my published articles and the direct links to find me on YouTube, Rumble, and Odyssey. And that's it. So I'm going to stop the screen share. Yeah, so that was shorter than some of the other lessons, but certainly meaty and full of potential, eh?
Oh, yeah. Few shows there.
I've got notes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm really glad. And like I said, this is meant to be shared. So these are not my teachings. I just got it in a download and I organized it the best I could into the 9 steps. But you will find these teachings in all kinds of sacred writings, other people who are movers and shakers and motivators. We all use the same techniques. If you've watched The Secret, that will be ringing all through this whole program. So it's not like, oh, I'm the smartest person in the world and I thought of all of this on my own. Not at all. It's just, I just put it together in a nice succinct program that's hopefully easier to digest and takes a lot of the mystery out of it. So
the way that you've put it together, I'm running into this with my journey. I appreciate it because you, like, each step, it's like, okay, so here's what's going on, here's the resources, like this is my experience, and but go do your own research. But it's a jumping off point, which so many people, when they're just starting to figure things out, it's like, okay, the world's screwed up, and they figure out what's going on. Well, where do I start? And like, this really is such a great place to start, because there's just, and you can go in, you can just follow the course, and that will change your life. But if you get the PDFs and follow the links and stuff, there are so many things that you can research, and you just brought everything together to just help know what questions we even want to consider asking about how to sort this out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And when I'm completely done, so we've got actually 2 more weeks. Next week is step 1, and then we'll do the conclusion. And I'm hoping we will do the conclusion live so that our audience can join us and ask questions and make comments. And then after that, I'm actually going to put on a data stick or some kind of small device that people can purchase from my website that will have all the tutorial videos, will have all the workshop videos, all in high definition, and have the PDFs all in high definition. And then I'll just slip it into an envelope and mail it off when people order it. So that's another thing that I've got coming. And of course, we've got the meetup that we're going to do later this summer. If any of you are able to come to Alberta, Canada, you'd be welcome. Just contact Don or Spinja or me and let us know if you're interested. Love to have you. And we'll find, if enough of you are interested, and if you're coming from out of town, we'll find hopefully some cheap hotels, motels, and camping sites, and we'll just expand it a bit, and maybe do it at a park or something, or I don't know. We'll see. Depends how many, want to be involved. And what else? Oh, yeah. So we've got our 3-part panel coming up. For those of you who haven't seen it, check out my channel. I've got a 4-part series I did recently with a panel, and we covered the shadow. What is the shadow? How to work with your shadow, how to make your shadow work for you. The difference between, are we predestined or have karma, or are we free individuals that can have free will? And we looked at all aspects of that. That was really fun and interesting. And then we have the panel coming up, and Don and Spinja are going to join me on that panel. And it's called Harness the Simulation. So we're going to get into, what is the simulation? Is this a simulation? What are the parameters of it? And then another one will do basically talk about things we've manifested. And the simulation theory really fits for why we can manifest, and it really helps us to go, okay, what the hell, I'm gonna do more manifesting because I know how, and it works for other people. It should work for me too. So we've got that coming up, and with that, I'll turn it over to you folks to talk about what you're doing. I want you, Don, to tell everyone about your show next week with Robert Khalil from Typical Skeptic and Stephen from BG Cast, and yeah, and Spin, tell everyone what you're up to, and also please tell people where they can find you.
Yeah. So the episode that Karen's talking about is something that's been coming up on a few different shows that I watch. It's, my After Dark show is about the programs that go on behind our backs that we don't even realize that we're in. Well, there's one within our community, we'll call it the paranormal, the abnormal, whatever, that's kind of unrelated, and it's Project Oblivion, and it's about people being inserted into the community to cause disruption, people showing up and they're basically just shysters, charging people money, to deter people from paying for things like your PDF or whatever, right? It's all the internal dissension, and it's an actual program that's being run on our community to deter us from talking to each other, because one of the biggest problems in our community is nobody listens to each other about their side of what's going on in their reality.
Yep.
I had a recent interview where somebody explained it to me perfectly. He deep dived everything and just looked where everything overlaps. And that's as close to the truth as you're ever going to get.
Yeah,
right?
the people need to use a nubby ball, Once you do that, then there's no conflict. There's no need for conflict. And the other thing is, there's a show called Mirage Men. If people want to watch that before they watch your show, it'll absolutely prove that there are disinformation people like Richard Doty who are out there to not just spread lies and myths and take us off course, but to keep us in conflict so we never unite and become unified. And also, they're very much into psychologically fucking with our heads, pardon my language, and causing us a lot of grief. Sorry, I didn't mean to take it away. Continue, Don.
No, that's as far as we've got on that so far. I know, like, these are two highly intelligent podcasters that I've managed to get in the same place at the same time that have surprisingly never met. So it's going to be a very interesting episode because they're both doing their own offshoots of research, and both of them are very, very skilled at researching the subject. Yes, so it's going to be great. I'm filming that next week on Saturday, so it'll be out Sunday. And aside from that, you can catch all of the other shows like the Roundtable Show. I'm still working on that FKN review show. I kind of hit a creative block. But all of that is on March 4th Productions on YouTube and Rumble, and it's the number 4 with TH.
Yeah.
And I'm a little overwhelmed with the last week that I've had because it's been amazing. I did do an episode with Heidi Pop, and we were talking about some alternative education options. And
by the way, it was a great interview. I loved it. I highly recommend it.
Thank you. Well, I was trying to come from a place, okay, Ray's 16 years old. It's a little too late for me to make these decisions for him. But I was coming from a place, if I had a little one and I was, um, about to put them into school, just to find out all the, different ways of looking at things. And I've crossed paths with another spinner, and we've been chatting. So I'm not quite sure. There's probably going to be some collaboration there. It's been very positive. And then I'm starting to read a book. It's amazing. It's called The Golden Thread. How Fabric Changed History by Cassia St. Clair. And it's talking. I'm just at the very beginning, and I'm already fired up, and I have a few people fired up about it. Just basically what the Industrial Revolution did to the fiber community, like even just making our own clothing, like spinning and weaving and all that stuff. Like with my spinning wheel, a lot of people say, "Oh, that's a dying art," and it's. Yeah, they've done everything that they can to make us. Yeah. So I'm just I'm working on that, and I'm going to be doing some research. I think a little bit more in regards to like the history of fiber arts and fabric and the whole nine yards, because it's just interesting, and just how it ties into the community and the deception and the control and all that stuff. So
and the loss of the womanly arts, which were community building, ways of building community and ways of being that have spiritual overtones in themselves. So it's really important that we rediscover these amazing talents. I used to collect all different kinds of what they called fancy work, where you would have woven handkerchiefs, and then they would do very intricate thread work, fancy work around it, making doilies and things. And you've got some there, tablecloths, and there you go, tatting, yes. And all this beautiful stuff. And it also helped women to stay sane, because while they were doing that, it puts you in a meditative, deep thought process, which goes back to our lesson, allows for better two-way communication with the subconscious and even the spiritual realm. So this is really big stuff. Sorry, I didn't mean to get carried away. I just did.
No, I love the enthusiasm. Like it's just further validation for me. Like I need to carry on and do this and get loud and bring bring fiber artists to like-minded fiber artists together. And so I picked the tatting, it's like a little package. I picked that up at a yard sale today, and the lady that was tending to the tables, she was just over the moon that somebody is wanting to take that on. So yeah, that's a new adventure for me as well. And
that's a new form of act. It's also a new form of activism. You know what I mean? It's a new form of activism.
I never looked at it that way.
Oh yeah, it totally is. You're starting a movement.
That fires me up even more. So thank you. So yeah, you can find me on YouTube. My channel is Canadian Spinja, and I'm on Facebook and Instagram as well. So feel free to reach out to me. If you have any questions, like I'm happy to share my experiences like with this program. If you have any questions about spinning or anything like that, I am here to help, and I'm working on unlocking information from the gatekeepers that make you pay to access this stuff that you shouldn't have to. This is ancient knowledge that we have here. Nobody has the right to charge your time. Yes, absolutely compensated, but it's knowledge that everybody should have access to.
Yep, absolutely. Wonderful. Wonderful. So that's very great. Thank you so much. And so I hope everybody joins us again next week and for step 1 of Quantum Health Transformation version 3.0. So I want to thank you, Don and Spinja, for joining me today and for all the wonderful stuff you've added to the program. And I want to thank the viewers and the listeners. Thank you so much for joining us. Please do share this information with your family and your friends, and do delve into the Quantum Health Transformation program. So until next time, we'll say bye-bye for today, and we'll see you all soon.
Lion only makes you hurt. Denying only makes it worse. Love and surrender seem the fastest way to bring an end to bitter, painful days. Somewhere down the stars are falling like jewels upon a thin black veil, and you will thrill to hear your calling. 5 seconds seems like 5 billion years, 10,000 galaxies away, yet still so near.